Well, first of all, I'd like to say rest in peace, Ace Frehley. Apparently, he slipped and fell, or he fell, hit his head, had a brain bleed, and went into intensive care and was put on life support and then passed away after that. So that's pretty sad. Uh, he was somewhat of an influence in me picking up the guitar. I was in grade school when they first came out and got big in the 70s. So I would say they were all like life size cartoons come to life playing music, which was really cool back in the day. It was badass, and we all, in my particular fifth and sixth grade rooms, I remember a friend of mine, John Granderson, bringing Kiss albums to school from his brother Charles, who was a big Kiss fan. He was in high school, and it kind of influenced us all. We all kind of became fans, and it was an interesting time back in the 70s, of course, when music came out and when they came on the scene and just exploded, with the makeup and the fire and the theatrics on stage, and Gene Simmons blowing fire and spitting blood, and Demon, and Kings in Satan's service, Knights in Satan's service. But anyway, that was very common back then. A lot of mothers didn't like that group and didn't want their sons or daughters listening to them, and they had some controversial songs. But Ace Frehley, I always admired him. I mean, I like Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, of course, and Peter Criss and the whole makeup crew. The makeup years before they took it off in the early 80s. But as far as Ace Frehley's playing, um, good guitar player, solid. He pretty much plays for guitar players out there, he plays in the pentatonic minor, and he throws in some chromatic notes, and he jumps back from usually the first pattern to the first pattern up an octave. So his playing, if you watched him, that's pretty much what he did, but they were good, solid sounding solos. And if you were learning lead guitar, that's probably the best teacher you could have, because some of his solos weren't that complicated, but they still sounded good, and they're kind of easy to learn because he'd like do triplets, all three notes together. He did the cliche, of the Chuck Berry kind of cliche, so you had a little Chuck Berry in him. But yeah, he did influence me. I wanted to pick up the guitar in grade school. Of course, I was, too young, but I got into junior high, and in about 1979, 1978, the Van Halen album came out. So, that kind of took over my life. From that point forward, I heard it. But Kiss was an influence in my guitar playing. I had a guitar teacher that was showing me some Kiss licks in there, so it became synonymous, with a lot of players out there. I mean, you can hear a lot of Ace Frehley's licks in other players in his lead playing, and of course, he wrote some Kiss songs, and Kiss was so big that when he separated from the group the second time, he still had enough of a following to still go out on his own, perform and draw enough of a crowd to make it worthwhile for him to be on the road. So they were pretty big. So he carried his popularity from being in Kiss onto his own thing. So that's pretty cool. And one thing about it is I got to meet Ace Frehley one time in my life, and it wasn't even that long ago. It was 2025, this year in March. And I haven't looked it up and to see what date it was, but I was in Oklahoma City. That's a funny story. And it's odd, it's just one of those things that, that happen to some people. And the people that I have told that are close to me, some people go, yeah, chance encounter and all that. Well, I mean, I wasn't seeking out, Ace Frehley to get an autograph or something, but it just so happens that I was going to Oklahoma City, apparently shortly after he had performed there. Well, who knew that he was still there? But anyway, he had stayed like another day, so I went down there to do a guitar deal, a trade. Oddly enough, a Gibson Les Paul. It wasn't a Cherry Burst one or any Ace Frehley model or anything like that. It was just a Gibson Les Paul 92, 93 model. It was a sunburst color, but anyway, that's irrelevant. Anyway, it was just odd that I went there to trade for a Rickenbacker, and the Rickenbacker was the only reason I made the trip was to do this trade and to drive 182 miles, to get into Oklahoma City. To do the trade, it was worth it because the value was skewed quite a bit in my favor. So I thought, yeah, sure, I'll drive to Oklahoma City. But while I'm there, as you've seen in previous videos, I go ahead and hit pawn shops, and I will go to the guitar centers and the other guitar shops, stuff like that, and I can make a day of it and still not get to every pawn shop and every music store. We did the trade. Then I went through Oklahoma City. Well, it started getting dark. Left the last pawn shop, and I had picked up a couple things. I probably had 7 or 8 guitars, maybe an amp, maybe a couple of effects pedal. I can't remember. I do this all the time. But anyway, got on my phone, found a hotel. I rented the room on my phone and got my confirmation and all that. So I get in my car and I go to Domino's and I pick up my pizza. And I go, I'm going to go up to the room. Well, I go check in, get my card key, go get in the elevator, and I'm going up, and it seems like it stops on the 3rd floor or 4th floor, something like that. It opens up, and what do I see? I look up and I go, and there's a guy getting on the elevator, and another guy with him that's kind of a little bit behind him, and they're talking, and I recognized him, and I go, in my head, I'm thinking, yeah, that guy kind of looks like Ace Frehley, but I'm not sure. But then as he's getting on him in Oklahoma City, everybody's got, not everybody, but most of the people there have some kind of a sort of Southern accent. But I hear this thick New York accent as they're talking, and I'm going, oh, hell, that is Ace Frehley. So what do? I've got my pizza in my hand and my couple of drinks, and I went, Ace Frehley? Like that. He looks square at me and says, yeah, I get mistaken for that a lot. I can't do a New York I get mistaken for that a lot. And of course, he has a higher voice than I do. But anyway, I kind of went, oh, okay. But I got to look at him, and he and I guess his bodyguard were still talking. A big guy, bigger than me. And so I'm standing there, and I'm starting to look at him. And I go, no, that's Ace Frehley. And I go, can I get a selfie? He's standing next to me. Can I get a selfie so I can take it home? He goes, no, I don't do selfies. And I go, well, that's cool. I said, could you sign my pizza box? He said, I don't have a pen. Of course, I didn't have a pen. The door's open, and some guy in some leisure-looking Century 21 business suit walks in. And I said, hey, man, you wouldn't happen to have a pen on you, would you? And Ace Frehley turns to me and says, hey, man, I charge people money for my signature, for my autograph. And I was going, oh, okay. I was going, well, how much? He goes, $1,000. So I'm going, oh, well, I kind of buy, sell, and trade guitars and stuff like that. And, I don't know. Is a signature on a pizza box really worth $1,000 like that? Anyway, long story short, the guy that was in the leisure suit just happened to have a pen, a marker, not a silver tip marker that you do autographs with, but he still had a marker because he was, I guess, in some conference or something like. He was obviously in some real estate conference because his suit was gold, which made him look like Century 21. But he goes, yeah, I got one. And he hands me this black marker, blue marker. Yeah, it was a blue marker. Anyway, hands me this blue marker, and long story short, he signed my pizza box with the pizza in it. And anyway, he didn't charge me anything to sign my box. Doing some research when he did the rock and roll fantasy camp, he really was. This is after I met him. He really did charge $1,000 to sign like a guitar, and that was cash, I guess. But some people paid it. But I kind of get it because right now that he's passed away, you got a signed guitar that's worth, let's say, $1,000 Epiphone free pickup Ace Frehley model that cost you $1,000 or maybe a little more than $1,000. You got a signature on it. That thing went up 5 times. So if you paid him $1,000 for him to sign his John Henry on it, you now have a very expensive guitar. But they're short-lived, so you're gonna need to get it on eBay really quick and get your price out there in Reverb. If you did get something signed and you were trying to profit from that, shame on you. I'm not selling my autographed pizza box. You don't get it, so don't even ask. I'm going to just go ahead and keep it. I know it would sell for a few bucks, but it's kind of a unique story that I've only told a few close friends and family, and then anybody outside that circle doesn't believe the story. But what are you gonna do? So I just I'm gonna hang on to this thing and pass it on down the line, somewhere. But if you want to know the famous pizza box, left out something. I forgot. He did ask what kind of pizza I had in here. He's from New York, so a Domino's box. He kind of turned his nose up at it, but he said he could smell it and it smelled good. I said it's pineapple chicken with onions on it. Yum, yum. I love those. But anyway, I told him what it was, and he basically called me a homosexual in using the F word. I try not to swear on YouTube, but And the dude that loaned me the pen started laughing his ass off, and his bodyguard friend or whoever that was, a dark-headed guy, started laughing also, and I started laughing. I thought it was a big joke, but in the end, he did a signature. I ended up with this. So Ace Frehley signature on a pizza box. Now it still has the pizza stains on it from the pizza. And I didn't really want to eat the pizza, but he turned his nose up at the pizza that was in it. Domino's. I'm from New York. I can't do it. I'm from New York. I don't know even how they talk. I can't do the accent, but anyway. But now, if he should have known that if he wanted to be incognito, he could have just, faked a southern accent, and then I would have probably bought it and just thought, this dude just looks like Ace Frehley. He always has his sunglasses on. You'll never see him without sunglasses. And it was dark at this point. So what's the point in wearing sunglasses at that point? But anyway, thanks for watching. I just had to point this out and show off my pizza box. Nah, the smell's gone away. You can't tell there's ever pizza in there. But anyway, that's something I'm going to keep. Put it back. Store it away. And thanks for watching. Comment below, especially if you ever met him. I want to hear, about your story of meeting him. Rest in peace, Ace Frehley. I'd like to get that out into the universe or whatever. Please subscribe. Like this video if you like it. And remember, Ace Frehley. Oh, and he also said, I will kick your ass if I see this thing on eBay. So that was kind of cool. I mean, but Ace, rest in peace, man. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is kind of a sad one. I'm kind of depressed now. Jeez. Maybe go watch some football or pick up a guitar. Learn some Ace riffs. Just thanks for watching. I think I'm going to go cry now. But see you on the next one.